The system doesn't always work in our favor.
It is much easier to make, sell, throw away than it is to deal with the problem that you've created. Last year, over 92 million tons of textile waste was created.
We lose and waste more food than we eat in this country.
We have the ability to make a difference.
The beginning of our supply chain is the end of your clothing life. How do we design it so then we can reintroduce that back into the system that we pulled this waste from?
We are trying to ensure that we get as much food as possible before it becomes waste.
You take a product that would normally be disposed, and then we create a new polymer. When you look at it, this is the future.
Together, there's nothing we can't do.
Humans, as we step out the door, a lot of it has to do with what we're wearing. When you're wearing a type of clothing, a brand of clothing, it can definitely tell your story without you having to tell that story. I wasn't traditionally trained in clothing manufacturing designs. So in the beginning, it took a long time of feet on the ground, pounding on doors, meeting people over and over and over again and showing them that you weren't just going to show up for a fad or for a season, that you were there to make a positive impact. For me, when I started Anaìn, I wanted to bring natural fibers back to the forefront. And I sort of started asking myself, okay, well, what did we wear before these synthetics? I owned a Army issue pea coat, and I realized the worse the weather, the better it did. If I'm wearing a coat that was designed 300 or 400 years ago in a material that still has never changed, what the heck am I doing wearing this synthetic fiber that was created 30 years ago and is apparently supposed to do all these amazing things? The beginning of our supply chain is the end of your clothing life. We actually, when we're designing a product, need to see how much post-consumer waste textiles we have in specific fibers, in blends, and in colors. From that, we then start to design styles and colorways to create a palette for that season, as well as fit the specific styles and models that we are going to be creating. So we essentially do the entire supply chain backwards. I can't just say, well, I want 100 black shirts. If I don't have black wool, how do I create it? So then I have to start mixing and matching different tones and shades together. I'm really stuck with what I have, and my ability to blend those colors together to get our final colorway is really where the magic of Anaïn's recycling process comes from. We've heard that you can recycle wool up to 8 or 10 times. You know, I'll wear my wool shirts for 5, 6, 7 years. So imagine doing that 8 or 9 or 10 times. You know, you're gonna get into a product that you've recycled over 100+ years. I don't want to make one product that just focuses on one specific aspect. I want to make one product that can focus on 100 different uses. Because if you're not wearing it every day, we don't want you to buy it. Further we are removed from our design, our manufacturing, our weaving, our dyeing, the less we know about it, and then the less we can understand the problems as a whole. So then that feeds into the ease of just wear, throw, and repurchase. It was always out of a point of curiosity and always wondering, well, you know, like just because it was done that way, could we maybe do it this way? This clothing that we sell and manufacture is, you know, as low impact for the environment as possible. And if we can prove and show others that it is not only an idea, but that it is getting done every single day, we can then hopefully inspire others to tackle problems within their own industries or their own lives with that same sort of curiosity. We're just doing a video. I'll just restart that. Boom.
The linear economy is based on the traditional, very transactional, very common way. When you look at circularity, you got to disrupt all this. I started at the age of 22, 24, and I would be lying if I said I knew this was going to happen the way it is today. But I wanted to create something. I wanted to do something on my own.
I just look forward now. That's what I've been doing all my life, look forward.
In the early 80s, I was working for plastic distributors, and I was seeing all the plastics floating around in the environment and things being thrown away. Plastics is a product that you see everywhere today. It's in your clothes, it's in everywhere, your car. So actually it's done an amazing thing. But the productions of virgin plastics is the third largest contributor when you look at carbon footprint. Today, when you look at the end-of-life plastics, only 9% of plastics is recycled in Canada. At Lavergne, first, what we do is exciting because we take a product that would normally be disposed or be incinerated. We take that as a resource, then regenerate them into new polymers that be used in all kinds of applications, such as coffee machines for Keurig, parts for these cars, Sonos. Any consumer product that you see out there, chances are is that we could be part of this ecosystems with recycled material. The clients that we deal with are normally extremely excited about the fact that we're transparent about what we do. But in turns, they do the same things, and we both learn by doing. So you're able to take, for instance, what we do with the bottle, we're actually able to make it into engineering resins that actually produce things such as the ink cartridge.
À l'embauche, on est capable de pouvoir faire en sorte de pouvoir créer un sentiment pour pouvoir venir contribuer à quelque chose qui est plus grand que le travail ordinaire. On comprend qu'à travers chacune de nos journées, on est capable de faire une différence dans le quotidien pour le bien-être de la planète et aussi de façon sociale.
I really wanted to create some things, and I believe what I'm in right now, the industry I'm in, is so wonderful. And in fact, I'm asking myself if I could get 2 lives to see this going. So I would consider that if you're, as a young entrepreneur, wants to start in business, keep your passion, but make sure the timing is of essence. When you look at the circular economy today, for the young generations, they're in it right now. They could make a big change, because when you look at it, this is the future. We're challenged by the petrochemical industry that has this way of doing things. There may be a better way.
What drives you?
I wish it was an electric car, to be honest. I'm a charity executive. Charities shouldn't exist. Charities exist where policy doesn't. That's what drives me, is really to put this place out of business. When I was much younger, I was a single parent with 3 sons and suddenly found myself single and food insecure myself. And I really didn't even know about food insecurity until I was inside of it. In Canada, 6.9 million people are food insecure. At the same time, we have this huge, outrageous food waste problem where food is going into landfill, and shockingly, 58% of all the food produced for Canadians, that includes imports, is lost or wasted. So how do we mitigate that? And of course, let's move it to feed people. In the city of Toronto, we have a fleet and warehouse, so we are actually delivering food to over 500 organizations in the city of Toronto. And we also use this fleet and warehouse to collect food from across Ontario. We are trying to ensure that we get as much food as possible before it becomes waste. And one of the things we're doing here at Second Harvest with Fenning Farm is a perfect circular economy.
Food is our common ground. And unfortunately, there is such a strong disconnect between what it actually takes to produce this food, to get it to your shelves. It's that disconnect that really feeds into a larger system of not appreciating the labor and the love that goes into it. We are a 700-acre, solely organic fruit and vegetable farm. Our goal and our mission as a farm is to grow the most nutritious crops we can that not only nurtures the body that's consuming it, but nurtures the ground that it was grown in. It's difficult to look at food loss and food waste, especially on the farm, because nothing's really wasted. We compost it, it's put back into the soil, we use it again. But the compost doesn't have to be the first resort for perfectly edible, but maybe ugly or too ripe food. Almost on a weekly basis, we've been having Second Harvest pick up thousands of pounds of food. They sort and distribute to food banks, and whatever they can't use, they send back to us for composting. We add that to our windrows compost and then spread on the fields for the next season. So Second Harvest has been an invaluable resource to honestly be able to ensure that the labor and the love that we put into this crop is actually getting into someone's belly.
The Western community and surrounding neighborhoods, it's one of the lowest income communities in Toronto. So being able to provide food that would eventually have ended up in landfills is a great help for those in this community, especially those that face economic challenges. Rescuing and recovering food, we can provide our community with hot meals and fresh produce and groceries that they otherwise wouldn't be able to afford on a regular basis.
We don't see food as nourishment. We see it as a commodity. We don't value food like we should. And that is why we waste a lot of food, is because we see it as a commodity, as opposed to the nourishing, life-affirming thing that it is. We have to be looking at systems that are reducing, reusing, regenerating. The goal isn't to build the biggest second harvest in the world and just be here forever. It's build big quickly, fix the problem, boom.
Be smiling.
Like, I love a good challenge. Good challenge.